All right, Islam Makhachev had an absolutely dominant performance against Renato Moicano. Submits him in under 5 minutes. 4th title defense. Now he is the lightweight GOAT. We all know what happened. But the big question to me, and the thing I want to ask you guys, is who at lightweight can put up a fight against Islam Makhachev? Do you think there is anybody right now in the top 10, even in the top 15, who honestly has a shot at beating Islam Makhachev? And I mean, anything can happen, right? Anything can happen at any given time. So, like, sure. But just looking at it from all angles, who do you think is out there that puts up the best fight against Islam Makhachev at this point? You know, I've been looking at it, and I keep thinking about this, and here are a few names that come to my mind, right? By the way, before I get into it, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like and subscribe button. Helps with the algorithm, helps grow the channel. So obviously Arman Tsarukyan, right? Right now, he's in a bit of a precarious position in the sense that he pulled out with 1 day's notice, and like, if it turns out, or if they figure out that that injury isn't absolutely legitimate, like, and Dana alluded to the fact that, listen, buddy, you gotta get out there, right? And now he's going to have to fight somebody else before he gets another crack at the title, right? So the question is, who does he fight, right? I think that rematch with Charles Oliveira is very compelling, like split decision loss. Charles had him in a lot of bad positions. He definitely won because of top pressure, all those kind of things. So I think that would be really interesting. I also would like to see him run it back with Gamrot. I know Gamrot's coming off of a loss to Dan Hooker, and that probably, I don't know if beating Gamrot would necessarily get him into sort of a title conversation, but if he does, then there we go. Like that's super interesting, right? So I think those would be the 2 matches I'd be interested in seeing if Arman Tsarukyan has to fight somebody before he gets a title shot. So one of those 2, that'd be really interesting. Now, on the reverse side, if Gamrot is able to bast Arman Tsarukyan again, which is entirely possible, right? Like, he won that first fight, don't forget. I'd also be interested in seeing him get a crack at Islam. I think that based on his last title defense, which was against Poirier, it was a super competitive fight there until he got submitted. And Poirier credited his ability to defend takedowns to the work that he did with Gamrot. So I would be interested to see that match go on there. Now, of course, I think striking is a bit of an issue because he's been beaten on the feet by Dan Hooker and some others, right? So, I think that Islam still wins, right? But though, him versus Tsarukyan, him versus Gamrot right now, those to me are the ones that I think they would be competitive, right? And I'm not saying they would win, but it would be competitive, right? Like, a few rounds might go to them. They might survive the submissions. It might be a striking battle, that type of thing, right? Now, the reality to me, and here's my thought, is that, and this was my thinking going into the fight either way with Arman, is that, if he gives up a Darce choke or a head and arm triangle or any number of these submissions to Islam, he's going to sleep, right? Like, Charles Oliveira had him in some deep submissions, but everyone talks about how, comparatively speaking, nobody's squeeze is like Islam Makhachev's. So it's like, if he gets caught in any one of those things, whether it's Gamrot, whether it is Arman, they are going to sleep, right? Now, so those would be 2 matches that I'd be really interested in seeing, right? I don't think, the reality is, he's not losing to Poirier. Like, he beat him. He's not losing to Gaethje. He's not losing to Holloway. He's not losing to, I don't even remember who else. He's not losing to Oliveira, right? You know what? Oliveira might be interesting because, here's the thing. I don't think Oliveira beats Islam, but Oliveira went on a tear after his first child was born, and he had another child that was just born. So it's like maybe he Charles 2.0 or Charles 3.0 has been born now that his other child's been born type thing. So maybe he goes ahead and has like an incredible run again after the birth of this child. I don't really know, right? But that is in my mind, right? Chandler, no. Hooker, no. Like, none of these guys are gonna be any problem for Islam, in my opinion. A question mark for me, and I know you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, is Paddy the Baddy. Look, I know that Paddy the Baddy has had that fight against Jared Gordon, where he didn't perform very well, and arguably lost that fight, right? But since then, he's looked pretty darn good, right? And I think he's being grossly underestimated by a lot of you because he kind of looks like a dork or whatever, and he gets a lot of privileges from the UFC and whatever the case may be. But he's good. Like, let's be honest, he's really good, and I think he has a great chance against most of the people in that division, in the lightweight division. Like, I think he has a great chance against the likes of Gaethje, against Hooker. I think he's got a great chance against someone like Beneil Dariush or Renato Moicano. Like, I think all of those guys he could contend with, right? I think he'd have some trouble with like people like Oliveira, and I think he'd have some trouble with Arman Tsarukyan, and I think he would have some trouble with Islam, right? And obviously he needs a couple fights probably before he gets a title shot, and in that time, who knows how much he'll improve, right? He could improve immensely, and if he does, it could be a really competitive fight, right? Like, he's got some power in his hands, he's got some decent striking, his jiu-jitsu is really good, right? It's just, I don't know what his takedown defense is like, right? I don't think we've seen anybody really like try to take him to the ground or wrestle him or any of those type of things, so I don't know how he would fare there. And obviously I think he'd have some problems. And I do think no matter what, I think Islam would win. But I think Paddy the Baddy is being severely underestimated by the MMA community, and I think he has a really great chance against most of the guys in the top 10 of the division. Like I said, those really top guys, Arman, Oliveira, Islam, Gamrot, I think he might struggle with them a little bit, but he's very good, and he does get the nod he deserves, and I think he could definitely be a top 5 guy within the next year, right? And make that claim for a title shot. And I don't think he beats Islam, but I think he could make it a very competitive fight. That being said, there's no way to know for sure. No matter what, I don't think anybody beats Islam until he retires, because Father Time is undefeated. That's the only thing. Islam's going to be champ forever. It is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time.